Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here. John, your face, I think, just about said it all for that performance. A 0-0 draw against NYCFC. This is a makeup show on a Wednesday night. We did not, I was moving, so I'm in a new spot. This is the new Richmond headquarters of RFK Refugees Podcast.
New spot, new haircut. Just looking new year, new Ted.
Yeah, exactly. But we no show on Monday. I was drained from moving and just
do not make excuses. It's okay. We are allowed to have lives, Ted, you know.
I think most everybody, I think on the Patreon, someone said like, wow, there was no show on Tuesday. I wonder if this team like finally broke the RFK Refugees people. And I'm like, you know what? Not yet, but maybe we're getting there.
Someone told me they were looking at Charlotte Open Cup tickets and they're $300.
What?
Yeah. I mean, they're like field level, but that should be illegal for an Open Cup game. Right now for this team, they should be giving you $300.
Yeah.
But the reason I asked about it because I thought, okay, this team is not very good. It would be funny if the only time I went to go see the Descendant play was when they're in the Open Cup. And it would also be funny if like we had group seating for RFK Refugees fans. But it would only be funny if the team was so desperate that they were selling tickets for $5. But very clearly they're not. Very clearly they are like, no, this is a bonus game for us. We've got to make our nut here with these $300 floor seats. Ridiculous. Not broken yet though, but we're very close. It's very close. Keep patreon.com/RFK Refugee.
Yeah. Keep us, you guys are incredible. When you guys donate money, we have not fulfilled our end of the bargain, I would say, but I promise you, give us a couple weeks, let things get settled. Let the maybe other rumors other than Pogba maybe flow in. Juices might get going. We will be, trying to put out some content for you guys. We do appreciate the support as we watch this absolutely dire team play soccer. Until we don't want to talk about this match. Toronto was bad, 2-0 loss, bad.
Yeah,
that game was awful. As my camera moves slightly. I don't know. There's really much to say about the game. An own goal. The team in the first half looked terrible, but then we come into this weekend against NYCFC, maybe thinking things would be a little bit better. And 15 minutes away, the soccer gods said no, everything's just going to get worse.
How about no forward depth about to kick you in the
Christian Benteke going down in the 16th minute. Up until then, I do have one thing to say. Randall Leal needs to start.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Every single game.
For sure. Why not? I think there is definitely a concern about his body, I assume. But ride him hard, put him away wet. This is a free player, basically. Ride him till the wheels fall off. I would say he's the only player. There was a pass in the first 10 minutes. It was a cutback pass against the grain, finding Benteke at the top of the box for a shot. I was like, you know who doesn't make that pass?
Prime.
Literally anyone else on the team right now. So you need that.
He was doing it for fun against Charleston. A lot of the ways the team just didn't have the attacking talent to really put it away. And then he's doing it here again against NYCFC. I look at like, and really he faded away. I think most of the second half, like the team had really nothing to go offensively. The chances they generated but just those first couple passes, those first couple plays, I was like, man, he really needs to play. There's no more excuse for it.
You should elaborate on the thing you noticed about the injury report.
Yeah. Gabo Pirani, out on the player availability report, not due to injury. It could be a lot of things. It really could be, but yeah. Not an interesting thing.
It had been ankle up till very recently, I think until this week. So who knows? Could be, to your point, I could think of 5 things it could be, but interesting nonetheless.
Brazilian window I checked. I was like, when is the Brazilian soccer like transfer window? Is it still open? Opens July 10th. July 10th is when it opens.
Also, I said this in our Discord. This is an ad for the Discord. You should join the Discord because we actually do talk a lot on there during games, even games that are horrible to watch. We're there. I mentioned, obviously, no Christian Fletcher once again, not injured, not on the 18, not playing. I think my theory is that he is instructed, or his agent has instructed him to be like, listen, just don't play. Just wait until the window opens. Send him anywhere. Send him anywhere at all. He doesn't want to play here. He doesn't believe that I think he does not think that they rate him highly, which I think is also probably true. And he wants to just be on his way and doesn't want to get hurt again because he seems to get hurt whenever he gets a run. So I think that's what this is, because it's not probably lack of fitness. When he was unfit, they said that. They're not saying that anymore. It's kind of a wait. Part of me, like a very small part of me, wants to call into the midweek and be like, hey, what's up with Christian Fletcher? But then there's so many other things that you could ask. There's lots of like, what's up with? There's both those who are playing and not playing. You could ask a lot of those things. And I don't think he likes to answer questions that way. What's up? What's up with Gabriel Pirani? What's up with Christian Fletcher? What's up? Jackson Hopkins makes an appearance. That's something to be happy about. The Apple TV announcers call them an attacking substitute, which I liked. That was funny.
He's basically playing sort of that center midfield role. I do want to talk. I do think there was some good. There was some good in this game, and I do want to talk about it. I think it's appropriate to talk about it. Barraza was excellent. This is why the scoreline is not. We're not talking about a 2-0 loss or a 3-0 loss the way the game was played. We are talking about a 0-0 draw. Barraza was by far the best player out there on the field. FootMob has a 1.55 XG for NYCFC and no goals. He came up big multiple times, made multiple saves.
How do they count shots that hit the post into XG?
I think it's still shots and then it's zero. It's not a shot on goal, but it's still considered an opportunity because XG is all about where you are on the field when you took the shot.
Right. It should count. I just didn't know. Yeah. I would say man of the match, Luis Barraza, co-man of the match, the bar and the post. Jason Anderson had a stat last game that the DC United has the most shots hitting the most shots faced hitting the crossbar, which I believe. So it's bad and it could be worse based with some worse luck from a goal prevention perspective.
Yeah. Barraza was great. I also wanted to give a shout out. I think at this point, Garrison Tubbs right now is that third center back ahead of Lucas McNaughton. I thought he was good in this game. It's a second sort of straight game where he's been really good. He has, if there's one sort of silver lining is that, a player that maybe we weren't expecting a whole lot, he gets loaned for literally a day and a half down to Loudoun and then gets called back up. I found it funny on where I laughed on the broadcast where it was like Garrison Tubbs spent a short time at Loudoun United this year. And I'm like, yeah, he basically
the shortest time. There is no shorter time. I will say this to balance. I think, yes, I would agree. He's played well. If you remember, Garrison Tubbs played like 3 or 4 games in a row well last summer. And then it's like he forgot soccer and then he didn't play anymore. So I'm glad that he came back and didn't sit on the bench. I'm glad that they're actually playing him. It's good that way. But he is, when you look at a team I said this also in the Discord. I'm just rehashing everything from the Discord because the game itself, not a lot to say. But it's criminal that this team doesn't have the youth that teams like NYCFC obviously has an academy system. It has an ex-pro team. They're able to sort of move up and down these players as needed. But when you think about where this team is in its window, where this team is this year and its ability to compete, where this team is for like a 3-year plan, the fact that there are not more players in that 17 to 20-year-old range that they're able to give minutes to is crazy. Because of that, it's a disgrace, really. The fact that Garrison Tubbs is in that sort of age group, he becomes that. Even though he was not from here, even though he's an acquired homegrown, he's what we got. It's him and Jackson Hopkins. Christian Fletcher doesn't count. June would count, but doesn't really count, and he's also not playing anymore, and except for Open Cup games maybe. So look for him in Charlotte for the $300 tickets. It is very frustrating. Like if your team's going to be bad and unwatchable, we've talked about it before. It's like, well, what are the fans like? The fans like winning? That's hard. What else do the fans like? The fans like a hometown kid that they can watch grow. Give us that. Gavin Turner, play him. Who cares? Yeah. Please.
And I'll get into my why moment, but I do want to continue. I thought we saw the interesting wrinkle, and I you know what, I'm going to throw this data here. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. Matty Poltola, Boris Sinau, the 2 highest paid central midfielders on this roster, actually started a game, and I thought Matty Peltola was pretty good. I think you're seeing this team develop kind of sort of a passing style, and I think I see that kind of suit him a little more than the what they played last year, and his ability to be very calm, sort of under pressure, move the ball, keep possession, not give it away, I think was something that I saw some strong aspects to that game. Borisinow is like the polar opposite. Borisinow is trying that ill-advised switch in the third that turns into a chance. He is misplaying passes. Every single attack seemed to sort of die once he got possession of the ball. And it was really once they bypassed him that they were really good. Obviously, Christian Benteke going down. The team then is sort of set up to try to play the wingbacks and, DC, and basically, the game plan, where before the game plan might be force the team down the middle, the game plan became, once Benteke went down, force the team out wide, and try to have Herrera and Schnegg hit crosses. But when you don't have Christian Benteke, it becomes
half of that equation was null, unfortunately. And that's why you had 2 shots on goal the entire game. One of them being Rita Zohir from outside the 18, and the other one being David Schnegg from 2 feet out on a cross, which should, that was, I was talking to someone else watching the game. I was like, it will be the cruelty of today for DC United to win this game on that it's going to be something like that. If that happens, New York City will walk home, but it didn't happen. And instead, we got the revenge game draw for Brazza.
And but bring it back to your point, Troy, buddy, come here. If you're listening, I know you're not.
You're giving a press conference right now.
Can we be done with Rita Zohir? Can we just admit that, yes, it can't translate USL. He was a pretty good USL player, maybe a bright talent back in the day. He ain't cutting it. And when you have that, you have Fidel Barajas, who also, by the way, didn't play. You have Jared Stroud going out there, who I thought was pretty much useless, not very good.
He was better against Charleston. He was pretty good there.
It kind of it baffles me how safe, and it makes me wonder, Troy has to be worried about his job. He is literally making some of the safest moves. He is not making moves of a coach. He is just trying to survive, to the summer window. And maybe they get a player who is a healthier and maybe an upgraded version of Leal. And maybe they can start cooking, because you can see some of the passes that Leal make. If they get a player, of the level of Luciano Acosta, of the level of, try to think of some other number 10s in the league and just completely shanking that. So I'm just going to move on. But an elite number 10, maybe there is something here where this team can at least be a little more effective in the attack. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I hope I'm wrong about that front, because if that's the case, then, it almost doesn't become Troy Lessane's fault. It becomes the coaching staff's fault. Because what is the point of all this if we're just going to fire Troy Lesane, bring somebody else in? It feels like we're just we're spinning our wheels again. Another coach gone, year and a half in. What's going on? Yeah. Is there anything else to glean from this game? Is there not anything?
Really. I think I'm starting to not think it's a huge deal. I'm kind of feeling the opposite about the Troy thing. Because Troy is not a guy brought in that's necessarily a huge system guy that's got he had a profile of player he wants, but I think that if you were to replace him with someone else, the players themselves would not be lost. They wouldn't have lost the ability to game plan. If it was if you had, I'm trying to think of player coaches past. Hernan Losada maybe had a total, and I don't even really have the chance how many windows. I'm just trying to think coaches we've had where they've built the team around an identity and a philosophy and stuff. And now it's basically been we want to press a lot. And we want to have center backs that can pass and carry the ball out and play out of the back when we can. I feel like that's a replaceable cog. I don't think that necessarily puts us. I think the Paul Pogba move is a more deleterious move to the plan than firing Troy and replacing him with somebody else. Because I think Troy's a good guy, and I think he's. I don't think he's the problem really. The roster's the problem, but I think the plan can continue. We're not thrown out. But if they're Paul Pogba, here's the solution. No other solution. Just this one. Just Paul. Come see Paul. Then I think it's all right. Burn the boats.
Yeah.
We got no plan.
Yeah. Until that, I think Paul Pogba is effectively. I think that's going to die as quick as it comes.
I've not heard much about it. It's it's gotten a little cold on that. So
it should be expected. I don't anticipate him. I don't anticipate. I will agree with you that it would feel very same-ish for this team just to get rid of the coach when he's very clearly not the problem. It's the talent level in this team. It's the lack of elite talent that is just dragging this team down. Even when for what this roster is and the injury that went down with Benteke, 0-0 against NYCFC, it's not a bad result.
Great. Honestly, it's fantastic. It's the best you could have hoped for.
And that is it's a sad state for this team.
The MLS, the Apple TV announcers were just confounded that there's no other attacking talent on this team. And still multiple years later, there's no second threat to goal. I don't know how they built this team where it's Benteke and no one else that can score. And it's true. Honestly, this, after Taxi, they're just we're just not really interested in another. We don't see the value in it. We think we can just build the system. We can make the train run without a locomotive. Really, we'll just have a whole bunch of middle cars and a caboose. But we won't have any engine. and it'll be fine. We'll see. It'll be okay. And it's not.
Yeah. I think this was, and if we have to look at, we have to look at the way the roster was constructed. This was a gamble from Ali Mackay. And we also have to talk about too, the team has been, they do have a player who showed right before he got hurt that he could be sort of a second threat, that he could be a creator.
True.
And that was Joao Peglo.
Congrats to him. He's about to be a father.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I just saw that. He posted it either during the game or like right before the game. I'm not sure. I think during probably. That
was probably why they were just like, just stay. It's okay. But, so we'll see. He should get back out on the field against Nashville. Hopefully that maybe becomes a moment that then shifts Kojima. I'm kind of ready. I kind of feel like I'm ready for and Peltola went 90, so it might be Cervania and Kojima in that center part of the field. They were both subbed out, but I do think getting Peglo in there might make this team at least a little bit more exciting going forward, because really, again, they had nothing. And yeah, I would be curious, like Troy's like thought process. It very much feels like he's like settled into players he knows. For what I just want to know, like, what do you see in Rita Zohir? What is so amazing that you don't want to try a guy who was sold, for $4 million to Chivas, or a Gavin Turner, a young, exciting prospect? I
was very much not impressed with Barajas in the Charleston game while I was there against like not great opponents. And I feel like that's a team he should have really flexed on really, really hard. It's tough. The question, why don't you find out more what you have? That I don't have a good answer for. I think that the answer is neither of them are going to be good, but you kind of know with Zohir, like where you're at. And typically when I see things like that, I think the coach is being stubborn. Like usually it's when the coach and the GM are not on the same page, or the GM and the owner are on the same page, where they'll just run out the lineup. Like, this is what you've given me. I tried to build this team at the end. You made me sell Ted, or however that went. I don't think he was made, whatever. And you're trying to like cobble together a roster at the end of the season. And I got Brandon Cervania, who's been better than probably expected. And then I got Zohir, and that was the end. That was us closing the door after we got rid of Click and got rid of Teddy. So, I think I don't think in this case it's Troy being like, this is what I got. This is what I'm cooking with. What do you think of my ingredients? How do you like the dish? I don't know.
Yeah. I look at this.
Now we go to Nashville this weekend in 3 days.
We do go to Nashville, and I think this game could be a bloodbath. Nashville are very much putting it together. They waxed Chicago 5-0. They are currently 2-1 up on the Red Bulls. New York on the Red Bulls. They are. Let's see. I'm just curious. They're shuffling. They're shuffling the lineup a little bit, but Hani Mukhtar is out there. Sam Sturridge is out there. Schaffelberg's out there. Nahar's out there. So we'll see.
Well, they know if there's 2 games to rotate, it's the second one. So that is the point. No, Andy will definitely rip us up. Count on that.
You said that about Teddy, man, and you know what?
I did, but that's different. Listen, that was my heart speaking. That was my heart and not my head speaking. Andy Nahar will eat our lunch because he's Andy Nahar, and if he's healthy, he's going to eat our lunch.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle. He'll be on the right side, going up against David Schnegg, who's another player I thought again did all right, had a very very decent game.
He loves the layout, the slide tackle, that the full extension layout slide tackle, high risk, high reward.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Do want to, I guess, well, I don't know if we want to say that for Monday. We did, so we've maybe been sitting a little bit on the Academy news. We've been waiting, I guess, for a team comment. Yeah, I think keep waiting. Charlie Boehm, I don't know if you heard, Charlie Boehm and Pitch Pass did drop a segment. Let's talk about it. We got a few minutes. Go to get a chance to listen to it. I want to get your thoughts on it. So basically, the report came from somebody. I can't recall who. I have to go back and look and find out who it was from. It was from a guy who I think it does have a little bit of an ear. It seemed like Charlie Boehm, who's much more ear to the ground as far as youth soccer, says it's good. Apparently what the team is doing is not unheard of. Basically, and if you haven't heard, the news is that the team is basically, and I think there's some air that needs to be cleared up with this. They are not, it's Marcus Charez. This actually just came up because I don't really check Twitter anymore. Marcus Charez was the one who posted it and basically said, oh, here, actually, look at this. I've gathered some more additional information about the school situation. It seems the recent change wasn't communicated very clearly to parents, which led many to assume to the worst. From what I understand, families that live in the areas where free online schooling is available Most of the families live in areas where free online schooling is available. For those that rely on DC United partner SAI, a provider used by several airlines, the service will no longer be subsidized by the club. This change directly affects families who don't have access to free online schooling. It appears DC United isn't alone in this approach. I'm still working to confirm how common this is for other academies, but I've also heard the club is willing to offer financial support on a case-by-case basis, particularly for players in need who are considered prospects. That said, some academies, like Orlando City, still do subsidize SAI for all their players. One more point of clarification, DC United will subsidize SAI, just not the full amount for the classes. So they're basically on par. But, I think Charlie Boehm had a really good point, is that DC United is like under the microscope, I think, of the most of just about any other academy. Another account. And again, I do have some questions about this account. USMNT Prospects consistently rips on DC United in their academy. Apparently, I saw today he was posting that apparently other MLS teams want MLS to basically punish DC for not having an MLS Next Pro side and basically not allow them to sort of claim players for their homegrown rights, or you can put the sort of the dibs on certain players within your region. Again, who knows how specific that is. But I think it's worth mentioning that I think the problem with DC's academy is they're under a microscope. It's a talent-rich area. There should be better players. The current situation of why Christian Fletcher is not getting minutes, why, Gavin Turner is not getting minutes, why the only player to really make an appearance in the last few weeks from the academy has been Jackson Hopkins, and it was a substitute appearance today. I have to have they had a single academy player make an appearance at all this season?
Nope.
Jackson Hopkins is the first. So, for a team that's done that. So I think that situation is playing into it. DC are on the microscope. I think if a team in Minnesota or teams in Minnesota, teams in other areas were doing this, I think it would be less of a big deal. But because it is such a talent rich area, DC's under the microscope. So even though they're doing things that, any sort of complaint is going to get magnified because it's DC. And frankly, they should be doing a better job.
Yeah. I mean, where are they? Right. Where are those guys? They should be here.
Yeah.
In a talent rich area. I mean, that's the thing that from the takeaway from the Pitch Pass episode is that they're everywhere else. They're just being siphoned. They're there. They're just not here. Right. They could be here. They're just not.
They're going to Philly. They're going to Baltimore. And, I think that's why the team wants to start an ex-pro side in Baltimore. The problem, of course, with that is, to try to regain that talent, to sort of regain that foothold. The problem is how long are you willing to actually wait while your pro team suffers, while you have Gavin Turner, who's playing for the academy, who can't get minutes. It's wild. It really is very much kind of a wild situation with that academy. This team should be flooded with those players, and they aren't. So, so a bit of clarity. Again, the team is not, I think there was some confusion. The team is charging for the academy. They are not charging for the academy. The academy is still free. It's been free for a while, but the schooling situation is what's kind of changed. So yeah, I think that maybe was a point of clarity. Want to make sure maybe some that haven't checked it out, I would say go check out Pitch Pass, go check out the interview with Charlie Boehm for
Charlie's a good guest. Charlie, if you're listening, I haven't talked to you in a while, but we're not on Twitter anymore. So DM me. I'd love to have you on the show again. It's been a long time.
It has been. All right, man. Anything else we want to cover? John's ready to go to bed, I think.
I'm seeing the bottom of the ninth over my shoulder here, so I want to see what's going on over there.
Okay. Fair enough. I want to keep you away from baseball. I'm saving you from baseball, man.
Why? You want me to watch more DC United and less baseball? That's crazy.
The Nationals even good this year? I have no idea.
They're bad. They're not as bad as DC United, but they're bad.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it. We'll talk to you guys next week. Vamos.
Monday. Vamos.